Okay, well, fantastic. We have another great one on That's Classic. Today we have an actor that I think many of you will recognize his work. I mean, he has been in so much. It's like 30 films, 150 television series. He has starred with Elvis in Kid Galahad. He was in Star Trek with William Shatner, Seven Thieves with Edward G. Robinson. An award-winning actor, award-winning published author, and celebrity radio talk show host, Michael Dante. So, Michael, welcome.
Oh, thank you, John. It's a pleasure. We'll have
Yeah.
some fun talking about a lot of nice things.
Well, thank you. I have to say, you were in a lot of stuff. I wanted to talk first about Elvis. So in for those people out there that don't know the film as well, you're a boxer and you're in the ring with Elvis. I watched it and I'm going, were you really hitting each other? I mean, I know a lot of things are staged, but it looks like you're actually, you know, you actually were hitting Elvis. It also looked like he was hitting you.
Well, it's done very professionally. The the gloves in front of my face and his face are just with a camera set at a certain angle. You hit the gloves going by the camera this way. In other words, I swing and hit it. I'm hitting the gloves that are very close to his head, and you hear the sound. You hear the sound of hitting the gloves, and the angle of the glove going by the his head and my head when he's countering is all done with angles. The cameraman sets up, the director sets up those camera angles, and it looks just like you're being hit. Now, the art for both of us is to take that punch, take it when he passes and hits, looks like it hits me on my jaw and vice versa. We'll have to react to make it look real. So that's the way it's done. It's technically designed and not that difficult to do. If you're an athlete and you have pretty good, body control and have boxed before, it's fun, really, to make it look that real.
Was Elvis, would you say he was a pretty good athlete himself?
Yes, he was. He was a good athlete, and the only thing at that time, his right hand was like a brick. It was all broken because he was into the karate breaking of blocks and wood and so forth. And he would do that every once in a while on the side of the set and show us how he was able to split up a 2x4 or a brick.
Okay, so any particular stories that you would have, Michael, in relation to when you were shooting the film with Elvis? Anything offset? Anything that came up that was rather interesting? Like just kind of like what you were saying. Like he was off on the side. He would show you his karate tricks with the bricks. Anything else that
Yeah, he was good, and his entourage, all those guys were very bright, well educated, very polite, and really terrific, and all good athletes. We would Elvis liked to throw the football too. We would throw the football in between takes uh, across the location. There was the empty area, and we'd fill our day and have fun catching the football, along with some of his uh, friends, Red West and Sonny West and Joe Esposito. They were very nice and very good athletes. So we had a situation series, Mushy Callahan, ex featherweight lightweight champion of the world, was our technical advisor.
Hmm.
So everything was done with numbers. So what the director would do, and what would he would address a routine would be by numbers. One jab, two jab, three right cross, four hook out. So it would be one, one, two, three, and four, and hook out. See, and one routine one day, what happened? Elvis forgot the routine and he threw one extra punch. He did his he did a jab jab, right cross, hook out, a right cross, and a left hook, and it was one more than we had designed for the routine. And the last one, and I haven't boxed before, and knew I had my mouthpiece, so it was routine. After the last punch, I would begin to slip my mouthpiece out of my mouth, and after the fifth, this was a fifth designed punch, numbered punch. I was just slipping it out, and boom, Elvis threw another punch and he cut my mouth. It bled a little bit, and he was so apologetic. He was such a gentleman and a nice man, a wonderful human being. And all the other things. Always on time, no temperament, and always knew his dialogue and so forth, and no ego problem, no temper or cussing or anything. Just an absolute joy to work with, and he apologized about 10 times. And Michael, how's your mouth? You okay? And so forth. I said, Elvis, I've been hit before. I'm okay. It's good. So we stopped the bleeding and went back to work. But that's the kind of human being, person, and actor he was. He was such a joy to work with.
Were you kind of shocked when he actually did connect with you? Like when you actually
Oh,
took a
yeah,
punch?
he hit me. He hit me a good shot. He was no weakling. Elvis was a tough hombre. He was no pushover, and
Yeah.
he had he wouldn't back off for anyone. He was strong and tough and a good athlete. So, but he was a gentleman. he,
Oh,
he apologized about 10 times, and he was again a very special person to work with, and a very special human being to know.
before we go on with the interview, I just wanted to remind you to please subscribe to That's Classic if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you'll know when my next episode is being released. Okay, let's go on with the interview.
And another wonderful gesture at Christmas time, we were working at Idlewild, which is only about an hour from my house, up
Mm-hmm.
Highway 74 from Rancho Mirage. And most of our work was done on location to assimilate Idlewild, New York, where the boxers were training in those days in Idlewild, New York. And what happened? Elvis. It was just before Christmas, and Elvis had in his contract that he would be home before Christmas, a day or two before Christmas Eve, and so forth, and then report back to work after the Christmas holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So they were working on a close up. I was camera set up, and near the flat area, Elvis whispered from the swamp. He said, Michael, yeah, EP. I call him EP. I said, yeah, EP. He said, he had a little stammer. He said, I have something I want you to have. And I said, oh, yeah, oh. And he came out and he had a stack of his records. You know, what in those days, those was it 26s?
Oh,
Uh,
45s?
Five, yeah, no, the big ones. The
Oh, the
big
big
ones.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, big pictures on them, and he autographed it and so forth. And another box with a ribbon on. It was like almost the shape of a shoebox, you know, and it
Mhm.
had a nice ribbon and a card on it and so forth. He said, I just want you to have this as a token of my appreciation of working with you. And he said, but don't open it until Christmas Day. So I didn't. I took it and I opened the Christmas Day. Of course, the recordings, the records I could see, but I opened the package. So it was a clock radio, a beautiful clock radio he had given me for a Christmas gift. And of course, I thanked him more than once. And it was
Mm.
a fine gesture from a very generous human being, and couldn't be nicer.
Wow, is that nice that he did that? I love hearing that. My gosh. What about also Charles Bronson? I saw him in there, and I'll be honest, I was thinking, is that one of his earliest films?
Yeah, one of his earliest films, but he had done a series as a cameraman, series that was on for a while, and he had a lot of exposure. He played a lot of bad guys,
Yeah.
and was very very good, very effective antagonist, you know, and he played his manager with
Hmm.
a bad foot, and did a good job as usual. Good actor.
Was he very open on the set, or did he keep to himself?
No, no, he's not. He was not the most friendly, sociable guy, and everybody knew basically who were the personalities that you could rap with and spend some time with. He
Hmm.
wasn't. He was kind of aloof, you know,
Hmm.
and we respect his privacy. We respect my privacy. I could care less, you know. If
Hmm.
he wanted to talk, that's fine. If he didn't, I respect that, and go on and let's do our work and then go home.
Yeah, sure. And then Gig Yun, who, I mean, my gosh, how many films has Gig Yun done as well? Married to Elizabeth Montgomery.
Gig Young was the opposite. He was very friendly, a wonderful actor, Gig, and Gig was very friendly. We had a lot of fun together, and his wife visited on the set. Elizabeth Montgomery was married at that time,
Yeah.
and they were a lovely couple and very nice people to work with. And of course, Joan Blackman and Lola Albright. Those two ladies were very good actresses and beautiful and nice, wonderful, warm, friendly people, and a joy to work with. We had a wonderful, wonderful cast.
Yeah, you did. I agree. The actual camp itself, you're saying it was in Idlewild. When they pulled back, it looks like it was a pretty big set.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We had ample room to do everything, and of course, for a fighter to be able to train and have all the professional facilities to do so.
Hmm.
The lodge was just yards away, the porch, the hangout, the ring, you know, the dancing area. It was perfect location. They were very fortunate. And of course, economically, when you have all those assets
Hmm.
just at, at your touch, it saves an awful lot of money and an awful lot of time. And if you save time, of course, you're saving money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you train then? Did they train you in boxing previous
Well,
to shooting?
I had come off a uh, a boxing show that I did. I starred with Roy Calhoun and Janice Rule in a Desilu
Hmm.
Desilu Playhouse called The Killer Instinct. I played a fighter. It was based on a true story, and I played a I played a fighter in that one. And having boxed when I was growing up, I boxed in school, and I even thought about it at one time that I might not want to be a boxer.
Hmm.
I grown up with a lot of good athletes, and we all were boxers, played football, baseball, basketball. We were really the all American young men, teenagers that loved sports and participated. That was our social media. That
Hmm.
was it.
Yeah.
Our communication. And we played. I played on. I played one year. I played on four baseball teams.
Wow.
Every in the summer, I was busy from Monday to Sunday, and so we were very athletically inclined, and so I knew how to box. And having done the Dempsey Lou Playhouse, and that show, John, changed my career and my life. After my performance in that, I did a terrific job doing all the boxing, and Rory and Calhoun and I did all the boxing ourselves. And I spoke Spanish in it, and had a Mexican accent in it, and so forth. And all of that, those additional taxations as an actor, I had to perfect and be believable.
Yeah.
Well, that after that show, within 24 hours, I had two major contracts waiting for me.
Wow.
Untouchables and a five-picture deal at 20th Century Fox. And the first one at 20th Century Fox was with Eddie Z. Robinson, Rod Steiger, Joan Collins, and Eli Wallach, and so forth. And
Seven Thieves.
yeah, Seven Thieves, a wonderful caper, great story, and a great part, and a five-picture deal. And I wanted to do films, but I was offered the to do 13 shows uh, of the Untouchables, and not play Bob Sax flunky, but alternate. He would do one show, I would do the following show, and we would rotate and do 26 shows. He would do 13, and I would do 13, starring in the Untouchables. Now,
Oh, wow.
you know how popular overnight Untouchables was, the biggest show on
It
television
was. Yeah.
in a matter of two episodes. And uh, I was brought in to talk about whether I would like to do the Untouchables,
Yeah.
and I was very honest with the company and the producer. I said, "Look, I really want to do films. I chose my life and my work as an art form. I love taking the time to develop a character and staying with it for 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 weeks, however the schedule is, and develop a character that I was really interested in, wanted to do on in films.
Sure.
Um, the more I said no, the more the price went up. My agent and I, when we had our meeting, and I had to leave the room. Every time I left the room, the price went up and so forth. But I said, I have to be honest. I have a contract, and he knew about it. The producer, and I said, look, This was at 11 o'clock. And I said, I have a 12:30 luncheon at 20th Century Fox with the producer, writer, Sidney Bohm, and to talk about a 5-picture deal at 20th Century Fox. And I want to do films, so I'm favoring that. Now, if something goes wrong in that meeting that I might change my mind, then if you allow me the time to come back, he said, you got 24 hours to please let us know your decision. He said, I know of your potential contract with 20th Century Fox. Your agent has already spoken to me about that and so forth. So I said, well, thank you very much. And I said, I will get back to you. My agent and I will get back to you in 24 hours. I left that meeting, went and had lunch with Sidney Bohm, and picked up the script and what he wanted and expected of me, and a 5-picture deal, and the money I wanted for that contract as well, and everything was just exactly what I had hoped for. Well, I decided to sign the contract with 20th Century Fox, and with doing my first picture for them, Seven Thieves, and working with Eddie G. Robinson, Rod Steiger, Joe Cohen, Eli Walk, just a great, great cast. It was a wonderful caper. It was a good film noir, and it's a great part, wonderful part. And so I made up my mind and told my agent, I apologize, but I've made a decision to sign with 20th Century Fox. So
Wow.
that was the beginning and the change of my whole career. Now, those fight scenes I did in The Killer Instinct. Now, everybody thought, this good-looking guy is not going to be cast with Elvis Presley. He's as good-looking as him and a good, experienced actor and so forth. But the casting person insisted. He said, you got to see, because the director said, no, it's just a little too good looking opposite. Said, no, but you got to see this guy. He's a really good actor. He's a good boxer. They're really so believable. Well, the casting person took the film in those days in the can, was it the 16 millimeter and so forth?
Yeah, big case. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. Brought her to a director, and our director looked at it, he said, you're right. Sign this guy up. Let's sign this guy, and so forth. And so that's how I got the part, because in the beginning, they didn't want me because I was, a good-looking guy and so forth.
Right.
To play opposite Elvis, but Elvis is the star of the film and so forth. So I did, and we had a wonderful rapport.
Yeah.
And really enjoyed working on this company.
What an experience though, to go from kind of basically unknown in Killer Instinct to you have two studios vying for you, and you have to make a decision between a major hit series or a movie career. And by the way, did you ever look back and say, "Oh, I maybe I should have done the TV series"? Are you glad that you made that decision and took the road that you did?
Oh, no, John, I'm glad I made that decision, because I was able to go on and do two films with Audie Murphy, co-star with Audie Murphy in Apache Rifles in Arizona Raiders, two entirely different characters, and star in my first film Westbound with Randolph Scott and Virginia Mayo playing a one-armed soldier boy, and
Unreal.
yeah, absolutely, and the Naked Kiss, and above all, playing a title role, Winterhawk. Now, Winterhawk this year, I can't believe it, is the 50th year of the making of Winterhawk. 50 years. I've made and finished the picture in 1975, and this year is the 50th year. We're celebrating the making of Winterhawk in New York at the Italian American Museum there in July, this coming July, July 11th. I'll be in New York at the Italian American Museum where they will honor me and celebrate the making of Winterhawk at the museum. And they have a theater there, and they're going to show Winterhawk. And I have a Q&A afterwards, questions and answers afterwards, and meet and greet people and friends that I know and so forth, and have a good time and go out and have dinner afterwards. They have a wonderful program arranged for the celebration, and I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't been back there in oh gosh, I don't know how many years. Good 10 years back to New York.
Yeah.
And my hometown is Stamford, Connecticut. Now, Stamford is about maximum, depending on the traffic, an hour from Little Italy in New York.
Yes.
1 hour away. And so friends of mine are planning, and people, it's unfortunate that the theater, it's a beautiful new theater, and the museum has just been renovated. They have
Wow.
put thousands of dollars in renovating the museum. So this will be something very special. And some people will come from Stamford to New York to celebrate. And I mean, it's something once in a lifetime. I'm talking about
It
50 years.
is.
I can't believe it's 50 years. And thank God, by divine guidance, I'm alive and well, and we'll be able to share with them with all the wonderful things, the memories and stories, whatever they want to ask. I'll be there to answer, and we'll see the movie and enjoy each other's company afterwards.
Yeah, I've got a flyer. Let me see if I can bring that up and let's see here. Let's see if we can bring it up just for fun. Let's see. Here we go. I think this is the one. There. There. Does it show up?
Yeah,
Yeah, there you are. That's the Wild Bunch one. That's another one. Oh, but the is the no, the Italian American one is up, right? The
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's what I wanted. Yeah. It's a
Italian
little
American
different, but
Museum. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
Friday, July 11th. Yeah, I gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, I will bring that up again when I later
We've
as
got
well.
to some of your New York audience, if they'd like to come and join us. We welcome new and old and friends and that might be interested. And we'll show the movie, and to see it on a big screen.
Ah,
Many of the fans, my fans, have seen it on the internet
sure,
and
sure.
so forth, television. But seeing it on the big screen, it's magnificent. It's if you ask me, Michael, name five of the greatest movies in that genre, the Western genre, in the history of the business, of the most beautiful scenery in a movie, Winterhawk would be one of them. The scenery is magnificent, and the horse that I ride in it is exceptional. He was just unbelievable. He was half Arabian, and half thoroughbred,
Hmm.
which means he had the stamina of an Arabian. He could run all day long,
Oh my
and he had
gosh.
the speed of a racehorse. So if you couldn't ride well, he would absolutely, he would destroy you. He would kill you. And somehow or another, he would just run away from you, and you'd be in a lot of trouble.
Oh my
We
gosh.
had I had a good, very good stunt man that was our gaffer. He was a gaffer on the piece, which
Hmm.
means he was the head of the make sure all the action scenes, the stunt scenes were correct and done right, you know. And so Bud did a great job, an excellent job, and I couldn't be more impressed with those action scenes. And once in a while, I've seen the film and just admired the work that was done. John, if your audience could see you and on the big screen, they'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, sure. Sounds like. Did you, by the way, you played a Blackfoot Indian chief. Did you do any kind of research for that role?
Yeah, well, yes, in some way, because uh, the Blackfoot Nation, they were great on horseback. They were not that great on foot.
Mhm.
They were great horsemen and great horse breeders. So they were a great lover of the animal, and they rode extremely well, and they were great warriors on horseback.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were proud a very very strong nation. And what during that period of time, the what happened, you know, gosh, I was aware of the fact that historically the railroad came through the
Hmm.
Northwest. It came through Sioux territory, you know, all the tribes, Assiniboine and the Blackfoot Nation, all through the Northwest and through Montana and Dakota, working their way to California. The railroad took 10 miles on each side of the track without negotiating.
Mm.
So that was, and in this case, this was a story about um, the white man's disease
Yeah.
that was unknown to the Blackfoot Nation. So what was uh, what I found that was in reading the script and developing my character, John, he was not written as a spiritual man.
Hmm.
There was nothing in the text of the script that said he is a spiritual man. I made him a spiritual. I contributed that my talent and my creative contribution
Hmm.
to the characterization, and believe that all the decisions that I make are made in relative to a spiritual essence, not ego. You
Hmm.
see,
Hmm.
he was not an egocentric warrior who knew it all. He related humbly to the elements, the wind, the moon, the sun,
Right.
the wildlife, all the elements of nature around him.
Hmm.
And he related to them. So when you see the movie, you will see the nuances, those nuances from the choices that I made in relationship to submitting to a greater power gave credence to a well-rounded, good characterization,
Hmm.
special. Because he was a leader of a nation. And I, as a person, approached it that I'm going to be a leader of a nation. So I have to make decisions, not for me or what I believe, but for my people,
Hmm.
for the survival of my people. And those are very broad, uh, arduous decisions to make
Yeah.
for a young man, for a young man leading a nation either into battle
Hmm.
or peace. And I relish that and brought who and what I am as a man to make a, a 360 whole of that character, his dignity, his nobility, his love, and his intellect and his spiritual essence. A combination of those essence elements to give him a well-rounded beast, character, human being, and go forward with that.
Hmm.
And that foundation gave me uh, the essence and the result of what you see on the screen.
That's fantastic. That really is. Yeah. What the other side of that too is you had a lot of good actors in there. The one that stood out for me is Denver Pyle. Obviously, I mean, he's just I don't know. I think he's just one of the great character actors that there ever was. What was he like to be around on the set?
He had, uh, he was really a fun guy to be with, and had a great sense of humor. And he had, that great character face and
Yeah.
wardrobe and everything. And he was, we talked about the story and about the characters. And he always had a little suggestion, you know, from time to time. Gee, that might be interesting. We could do this, we could do that, so forth. And he was a very good actor and a nice man. And he and the others, Elijah Cook, you know, Elijah
Yeah.
Cook was one of the great character actors. Woody Strode,
Oh
Woody
gosh, Woody
Strode,
Strode. Yeah.
and Leif Erikson,
Yeah.
Dawn Wells. Now,
Dawn
sadly,
Wells narrated, right? Wasn't she like narrating?
oh, she passed away a
Right.
couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And, Dennis Fimple, Dennis L.Q. Jones. Those are two of the best character people that ever addressed the Western genre. They were great in Western films. And I'm sad to say, John, I wish I could say they were all alive. I'm the only one that is alive today. They're all gone. I think the young boy, Cotton, uh, Charles B. Pierce's son, I think he's alive. I understand he wasn't well a couple of years ago. I don't know if he's still alive. But all the other casts,
Mm.
Sasheen Littlefeather, Sasheen Littlefeather, she's gone.
Wow.
She's no longer with us. And I'm the only one alive. And I'm grateful. This is the 50th year. And I can spiritually thank them for their wonderful contributions to this classic film that so many people love, that will continue to love long after I'm gone.
Yeah.
So it's a it's so meaningful for me to be a part of the celebration in New York on the July 11th. Now, in October, I'll be honored again in Tucson, the Wild West Film Festival, the Wild West Festival, Wild
Bunch.
Festival Bunch Festival in Tucson, and the end of October, we're celebrating Winterhawks, uh, 50th anniversary again there, and we'll have the showing, and this will be a very large event at a huge theater. There, a new theater there in Tucson, and that will be. I'll be addressing the Q&A after the film, and I'll be able to see it on a huge, beautiful screen. So
Wow.
there's an awful lot celebration going on for the 50th anniversary of the making of Winterhawk, and I'm so happy that I'm alive and well to share that a wonderful celebration and remember all the beautiful, talented people in the cast that contributed to
Yeah.
make it a memorable film.
I gotta say, you're 93. Am I right on that?
Yes,
I
I'm
mean,
90.
you
I'll
look
be 94.
fantastic.
I'll be 94 in September. Thank God.
Wow.
God willing. Yes.
Well, that's pretty impressive, I have to say. Okay, let's go back to Seven Thieves because I know that my subscribers will say, "Hey, you never really talked about it." So, what was it like working with? Obviously we've got Edward G. Robinson, Rod Steiger, Joan Collins, Eli Wallach, top of the heap, of
Yeah.
acting. What was it like working with them?
Oh well. Gee, Eddie G. Robinson was. We had such a wonderful relationship. I took Eddie G. Robinson to his first Major League Baseball game.
Really?
Yeah, we're talking about uh, uh, 19, 1949, okay, when the Dodgers first came to Los Angeles. And he had never been to a Major League Baseball game. And I said, Joe Bonanza said, I said, Eddie, have you ever been to a Major League? No, no, see, no. He said, I haven't. No, I haven't. I said, I want to take you. He said, I want you to come to have lunch at my home. He lived one block, Rexford Drive, one block from the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Yeah, I know
And
right where you're talking about.
yeah, right there. And right, right alongside, Pat Boone had a house right there on the same street. And across the street was Al Martino. Al's house was across the street from Eddie G. Robinson's house. And Eddie invited me to lunch. He said, my butler, he had a butler. He said, my butler and my wife want to see you. And my butler is a big Dodger fan. He, I talked to him. He said, after the following day, he said, I talked to my butler. My butler would love to have an autographed baseball by the Dodgers. He said, come and have lunch. I want you to meet him. So I went to have lunch at his house, and he gave me a tour of his home. He had artwork from all the masters. He was an art collector.
Wow.
Beautiful. I mean, you name them, he had a piece of their art and so forth. Well, we sat down at the table and we had lunch. His wife came in. She didn't join us. She wanted Eddie and I to have a rapport, and the butler was so enamored with what I was going to do, and because I promised to get him a ball, and he was looking forward to that. So we had lunch, and behind Eddie, it must have been at least 6 to 7 feet, rectangular frame, beautiful still life, still life. And I couldn't keep my eyes off it. Above Eddie was sitting down and kept looking.
Yeah.
It was magnificent. There were cherries and grapes and
Wow.
bananas, gorgeous red colors and green. I was just carried away by the still life. But there was no signature on the painting. And so we finished lunch and we're having coffee. And Mrs. Robinson came in and she said, Michael, of all the pictures in the house, what pictures or picture do you like most? What artist and his works do you like most?
Yeah.
And Mrs. Robinson, I'm no aficionado, but I do and appreciate art. I love his collection. It's magnificent. But the painting behind Eddie has no signature. To me, that is above, that has moved me so much, that beautiful still life. She
Yeah.
said, see, Eddie, Michael is the second person that has said that. He painted it.
Oh no. Come on.
Oh, he was a wonderful artist. People didn't really know how talented he was a painter. John, if you saw it, you would agree with me. That's
Wow.
how it was magnificent. It just jumped off uh, the screen. It was just so special. And Eddie was so humble. He said, "Oh no, yeah." I said, "That is something I will never forget as long as I live." Well, cut to the chase.
Yeah.
I picked up Eddie that night. I went to and Al Campanis, the general manager in charge of player personnel for the Dodgers at that time, and Tommy Lasorda was the manager.
Oh boy.
Okay, the time. So Al invited uh, me and Eddie to have dinner with him in his private box, and so we went. We had dinner. I introduced him, and he was a big fan of Eddie G's. You
Yeah.
know, so was everybody.
Oh yeah.
Right. So we had dinner and we talked, and Al was so delighted. People were coming in, and I was introducing, and so now the O'Malleys came in. They wanted to meet him. They were big fans of Eddie's, and they extended an invitation to him, and they said, "Mr. Robinson, we have been a fan of yours for so many years. Thank you for your wonderful contribution to the film industry. Our limousine is available for you anytime you want to come to a Dodger game. We will send our personal, imagine that, we will send our personal limousine to take you and have dinner with us, enjoy the ball game in our booth." Well, that was the end of it. They picked him up. He became a big Dodger fan. I didn't have to ever take him to another ball game to show him. He fell in love with the Dodger baseball. And
Wow.
the O'Malleys sent their limousine, like they said, every time he wanted to come to a game, he sat in their booth and enjoyed the game from their from their booth. So
That's
uh,
incredible.
now I brought the ball back to the butler. He was on cloud nine. It was wonderful, and Eddie was so appreciative of what I did. But we're working with Rod. Rod and I became very close friends. Uh, when I
Really
home,
interesting. Rod Steiger.
Rod was great to work with, and we had fun improvising. You know, when we were on that, if you remember, we're on that ledge.
Hmm.
You know, that ledge, by the way, was 20 feet down.
Really? It wasn't just one of those fake.
It wasn't one of those where you stepped off and you're okay. If we got off there, and in those days, it was just one of those, they had mats. Mats, those flat mats, you know, when you did tumbling in school,
Yeah, yeah.
they had that on the ground. That's just like hitting cement.
Oh, it would have been exactly.
You know, today they have boxes. If you fall, you fall on boxes, boxes suppress and break the fall and so
Yeah.
forth. And unbelievable when I didn't improvise. When I was coming out, of course, the character was afraid of heights. I was
Yeah.
afraid of heights. Yeah. Okay. He was a great safe
Safe
cracker,
cracker. Yeah.
afraid of heights as well. So the complexity. So I didn't want. And this was not written in the script. So instead of coming, whenever he going out the window to go out on the ledge, he walked in, and I stayed back. Rod came back, he grabbed me by the arm, and he pulled me on the ledge and so forth. You know, and when we finished the scene. He said, "Ah, you were trying to put one by me, huh?" Oh, he came and got me. So he was so talented. They were all so talented to work with. Uh, Even the character actors, the other Barry Kroger, Alex Corby,
Hmm.
these are wonderful actors. Joan Collins, you
Oh.
know, this was her favorite picture. I saw her a couple of times in the last 10 years or so.
Hmm.
And she said, Michael, Seven Thieves was my favorite movie. She said, I really loved it because she did all the dancing. She did all that dancing and uh, had to learn to do the routine
Uh-huh.
herself. Yeah. And aside from acting, she did all the dancing and really loved uh, working in the film with the ensemble cast that we had. It was excellent. But even Rod, now personally, I would go. Rod would he lived in Malibu. He had a great beach house, and he would come down. He'd like to cook, and like to talk about different things. And he liked baseball. He
Hmm.
knew I was an ex-ball player in my teenage years, and uh, we had a we had a celebrity softball game that uh, I invited Rod to play, and he was a good athlete. I was surprised.
I'm surprised to hear that too. I mean, no offense to Rod Steiger,
Oh,
but yeah.
he could run like hell. He was a good outfielder, and we had James Garner. We had a lot of ball players. Yeah, that came out. I managed to get them out of. And it played a couple of celebrity games, and Rod was just he was just loved playing and something he hadn't done since he was back in New York, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because they used to play in Central Park, a lot of the New York actors, they played a softball game. So that when they all came to California, they most of them were, asked to play in organized a celebrity game. Well, I organized it. And we were able to get a lot of the actors to play, and Rod really he loved it. He was always looking forward to the next event that we had lined up, and we had um, the wonderful character. He owned a uh, ice cream parlor. He was the kind of the local gangster in Hollywood at the time.
Huh.
Um, uh, oh gosh, I forget his name for a second. Um,
It's okay. It's okay. What tell me about the
yeah,
ice cream parlor. I was like, wow.
he was yeah, an ice cream parlor, and he had a he loved to play softball. He loved to have a game, and all of his he had two or three of his friends, and I got a call one night. Oh gosh, you remember? He was
Not Bugsy Siegel.
he was bullheaded, brown face. Uh,
And
he was
he was a real gangster though, right?
yes, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And they did his life story on television, or but anyway, I'll think of it at
Yeah,
some
yeah,
point.
yeah. We'll figure it out.
He had a I got a call from Jack Estrada. Jack Estrada,
Oh,
his one of his assistants, said, Michael, Andy Cohen, not Andy Cohen, but Mickey Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, remember Mickey
Oh,
Cohen?
sure. And
Okay.
yeah, and Jack, sure.
Mickey wants to play a softball game against your team. Hey, 12 o'clock at night. He's called, woke me up. I said, okay. He said, he'll bring all the balls, all the bats, all the food, a big table of delicatessen, and all the ice cream. Yeah, no, everybody can eat. And we'll play it in a park right by 20th Century Fox. So he said, Mickey would love that. He said, could you do that? I said, okay, that might be fun. So I called all of the actors and so forth. And we went, we played against them. We beat the hell out of them. We were like 25-4 or something. But afterwards, you never saw so much deli on the table, ice cream and soda, no liquor, no booze, ice cream and soda, and all soft drinks and so forth. And Rod, we had such a great time. And here we are, we're playing it with Mickey Cohen. It's an unbelievable story, but true. True story.
Were you at all nervous, that you're playing gangsters? Like, oh, I don't want to, if you hit them wrong or something, I mean, were you at all concerned?
Uh, you mean about baseball?
Well, about the fact that you're playing a bunch of gangsters,
Oh,
I
no.
mean, you don't want them
No,
getting mad at you,
no, we felt more protective than ever because because Jack, his right hand guy, uh, said to me, he said, "Look, if anything you need, uh, that we can help you with at any time, uh, let me know because you did a nice job and we really appreciate what you did, and we had fun.
Yeah.
It was no chicanery, nothing strange. It was just a lot of fun because he loved baseball.
Oh, is that funny? Wow.
We
You said James Garner was on the team too, huh?
Yeah, Jim was a good athlete, very good athlete, Maverick.
Yeah.
He was such a good actor, and he went on to do great things, wonderful things, and some of the things, uh, gosh, very few actors, they were really made a mistake with his contract because he was on the contract to Warner Brothers when I was there.
Hmm.
We were on the contract together, and they were supposed to renew his contract, and the legal department on a certain day, by a certain day, had to renew his contract to keep him there. He
Hmm.
was Maverick was so successful, and he was doing films for Warner Brothers as well, and doing such a terrific job, and a hell of a nice guy, and a good athlete, very good athlete. He was a very outstanding golfer. That was
Wow.
his uh, sport that he excelled in.
Hmm.
He was, I think, a single handicap golfer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So what the unfortunately, and fortunately for Jim, they forgot to renew his contract, and so Jim was a free agent. He
Oh,
was free, no longer on the contract, and he was able to leave Warner Brothers and venture in that great career he had for so many years. He was,
oh my
they,
gosh.
I mean, Warner, I think, I don't know if they did, but they should have fired the uh, the legal department,
Oh, big time.
not being abreast of his expiration date on his contract
Yeah.
because they failed to do so, and Jim was free as a bird. And look what he amassed.
Oh,
What a great,
yeah.
great career. And a hell of a nice guy.
Cool.
I knew him God for 50, 60 years.
Wow, wow. Let's talk a little bit about Star Trek because I know I'm going to have a lot of Trekkies that are subscribers that'll say, "Hey, when are you going to talk about it? So you were in Friday's Child, which is quite an episode, by the way. The show, I was curious, what was it like behind the scenes? Because I did see a little bit of footage of the behind the scenes, and it looked to me like Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner, it looked like they actually were kind of joking around a bit. Wh-
Well, first of all, let me tell you about getting the job. I think you might
Sure.
would like this. It was one of the easiest jobs I ever got in my life.
Hmm.
I I received a phone call. It was about 10:30 in the morning from Mr. Roddenberry's office, and as secretary said, "Mr. Dante, Mr. Roddenberry would like to see you around noontime in his private office. He has a role he would like you to do, and see if you like it. Please, he wants to meet you and see you at 12 o'clock. Can you make it?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." I was living in Encino at the time,
Sure.
at the first home there, and drove in at 12 o'clock and went, no casting people, no agents, no anything. Secretary brought me right in to meet Mr. Roddenberry. And he said, "Michael, I saw you in a show the other night, and you were excellent. You were just terrific. I have a great role for you in this script to play opposite Julie, guest star with Julie Newmar in the brass box." Okay? He said, "Michael, all we're doing is westerns in the sky.
Hmm.
That's what Star Trek is. Good guy, bad guy. We're doing westerns in the sky." So I think we're on the right track. We got these great ratings and so forth. This wonderful, uh, brilliantly talented man changed the whole face of the industry.
He did.
Said, "I want you to read the script. Go home and read the script. If you like it, call your agent. Everything is you take care. You got the job, so forth." And he said, "I'll see you on the set." I said, "Thank you, sir." And I left. I read the script, actually called my agent. Everything was perfect. And the easiest job I ever got. There was no agent, no casting people, just one-on-one
Amazing.
job. Amazing. And enjoyed the journey. We filmed at Vasquez Rocks. Now, Vasquez Rocks is north of Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Hmm.
There's Santa Clarita. You know, Santa Clarita up there,
Sure, sure.
the high desert, a little more in the high desert. And uh, Santa Ynez was a great pickup location for one more shot in a Western or in a film that they needed that kind of a background. It saved a lot of the companies a lot of money rather
Hmm.
than have to go back to a location and reshoot a scene. They would go there and shoot it up against that gifted background.
Yeah.
You get westerns and modern things, and it was in a ravine, all boulders all the way around it.
Hmm.
And that day, it was 117
Oh
in the
no.
bottom of that ravine. I lost 7 pounds doing the show, and
Wow.
the director was had ice packs on his neck. They had to ice down the camera, keep it cool, because
Wow.
it was dangerous. And Julie was having a tough time because she was pregnant. You know, the character was pregnant,
Yes. Yes.
and all that wardrobe. And I had a wardrobe that was all up here.
You were literally covered like this. Yeah.
Covered,
Yeah.
no air. And every time I walked in the boots, you could hear squish, squish, water.
Oh,
7 pounds I was, and I didn't have any fat to lose. I was all
right. You're in
muscle.
pretty darn good shape. Yeah.
Yeah, great shape. And we had to really a rough time to go through and finish that scene. At that time, John, there was no the communication we had was really trying to stay cool and finish, get out of there, and get back to the studio.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of work to do, a lot of setups, and so forth. And so the talking we did was really with towels around us and so forth and so forth and so on. So we finally got to do that. And the director, Joe Pevney, I'll
Mm-hmm.
never forget Joe, good director. And Joe said, I'm going to have a heart attack here. Wow, this is really too much. And it was we were almost going to strike the set and take off and leave because it was that bad. But
Wow.
we got through the day, and Julie and I drove back in the limousine together and so forth. And we were soaked and wet, top to bottom.
Mm.
And I would say probably that was one of the most difficult days I ever spent filming on any set, television or motion pictures. But we got through the day and we had a very special show. You know, the Friday's Child had comedy, it had action, had drama.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good script, and every time I go on any of the venues, Star Trek venues, this is one of their favorite shows. And we were in the beginning, the first 3 years.
Yes.
And by the way, there aren't that many of us alive that guest starred in the first 3 years of the
Mm-hmm.
film of Star Trek. As I think it's like 8 or 9 of us left. That's all that guest starred in and left memorable characters
Right.
for the fans to appreciate and still continue to communicate with.
Yeah.
I have, by the way, John, I'll be appearing in Las Vegas at the 59th Star Trek convention in August, this coming August, in Las Vegas. It's 59 years. Next year will be 60 years.
Isn't that
But
incredible?
I'll be there in Las Vegas in August for the 59th event. So I'm looking forward to that too. And it's always a joy to meet the Star Trek fans. They are the greatest fans, and the Western fans. They are the greatest fans above all the other fans. They're
Yeah.
polite, they're polite and loyal. And God, they know the dialogue of so many scenes
Yeah.
better than we, the actors who did them. And they were so patient, and I don't know where they get their money, but they come with portfolios 2, 3, 4 inches thick of all the autograph of all these Star Trek genre type characters.
It's incredible. That really is. What so going back though, so like I said, I was looking at some like behind the scenes footage that there was, and it literally looked like Leonard Nimoy was kind of I don't know, I don't mean like goofing off, but kind of like into the camera, like kind of
No,
almost
no, they went their own way, and we went our own way.
mm,
Um, because of the difficulty and the heat.
yeah.
Uh, you know, it didn't lend to any recreational time to
Yeah.
be joshing around and having some fun. It was it was it was arduous. It was tough going.
Yeah,
But when we
that's
got inside, it was a little better, particularly when we were throwing the
yes.
cligget. The cligget. Well, we had kind of fun doing that, learn how to throw that, and so forth. And just this past was it 2 weeks ago? I did the Hollywood show in Burbank, and one of the fans, Star Trek fans, came with a Kligot. He had a Kligot.
He
It was
had one?
wasn't the original. It was a remake, of it, and he wanted me to autograph it, which I did. But they are just so special. And but getting back to the cast and when we were inside, little communication. But
Yeah.
when you do television, you would always aware. Oh, they're always aware of the clock.
Yeah,
They
right.
they got 7 days to shoot, and they want to finish on time. Because if
Right.
they're over time, then they got to pay a time and a half or double time. So it's costly if they're overtime.
I know they kept to themselves, but were they, like Nimoy and Shatner, when you were in the scenes with them, were they, they
No,
might cut?
just highly professional, John. You do
Yeah,
your work and you go about your business. I
gotcha.
wasn't becoming buddy with them. I was interested in working with them, doing my work, getting my rest, and go home and come back the next day ready to work again.
Yeah,
You know, with professionals at work.
if
That's what it
especially
is.
when it's that tough, boy. Now, I got to tell you, I also saw you in the Bonanza episode where you played.
Yeah.
Well, I always think of the other character, the
Ortega,
yes,
Ortega.
right. But he'd always say Miguelito, Miguelito, and
Yeah.
I that was a huge role for you, by the way. I mean, you were like the lead in that whole episode,
Well, you get started,
but it was
I
a
was,
big guest
my
star.
career, no, my career had taken off, and I would warranted guest star billing and star billing
You're in
and
that entire episode, though. I mean, you have
yeah,
some major scenes. You're in there with Michael Landon. You're in there with Lorne Greene.
yeah, mostly with Lorne Greene. I'll tell
Yeah,
you a great story
sure.
with that. Uh, After I finished my last scene, I was in my dressing room and I was taking off my wardrobe, and there was a huge knock on my door.
Yeah,
Said, Mr. Dante, don't leave the studio until you see Mr. Dortord. David Dortord, Mr. Dortord wants to see you ASAP. I will drive you to his office, which is on the other side of the lot.
yeah,
And I'm outside. When you're finished and you're dressed and ready to go, I'll take you to his office. So he drove me to his office. And I walked in, and he was sitting behind his desk. And he said, Michael, thank you for a great performance. You were terrific in the brass box. Your Ortega was excellent. He said, I have a series that I'm doing, and I have Cameron Mitchell to star in called High Chaparall. And I want you to star with him in the series. So I said, what's the character? He said, Manolito. I said, it's Hispanic. And I said, David, I don't want to be typecast into playing. I did Ortega, which is a Hispanic character,
yeah,
and yeah, and I don't want to typecast myself as a Latin actor.
yeah,
I have versatility. My life's work and my salvation is my ability as a leading man to go in the character. I can do so many things. I could play American, a Native American. I could play a good guy, cowboy, a bad guy,
yeah,
a Mexican, and so forth.
yeah,
And mafia plays so many wonderful things. That's what I envisioned and designed my career to do, to try. And I treated my life and my work as an art form. And he said, gee, that's wonderful, Michael. I appreciate that. He said, God, I would love to have you play Manolito. He said, will you take the script home and for 24 hours think about it and call me and maybe you might change your mind. Well, I was professionally polite and courteous. I took the script. I went home and I read it. And of course, Monolito was an intricate part of the story and the screenplay and the television series. And but I just couldn't do it. I would be betraying my dream to pursue my career in the direction I wanted to go. I just couldn't do it. So I called him and he said, I understand. I understand. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And the series became a hit series.
Oh, it was huge.
Never regretted that they didn't do it. Another one like the Untouchables or the Monolito in that series and so forth.
You
So
held your ground.
yeah, and I was able to go on to do Winterhawk and work with Audie Murphy again, to do the Naked Kiss with Sammy Fuller and the like. So I did an awful lot of and did The Farmer and did so many
Yeah.
other films. You
Oh,
know, that
so many.
I enjoyed. 30 films,
Right.
uh, 50 television shows, my own radio show for 12 years, and I just finished my seventh book, The
Seventh.
Michael Racer. Yeah, I have six published books. My seventh book will be published soon. Six of them are on the market. You go on my website, michaeldanteway.com. You can see uh, the covers of my six books, and this is my seventh. We're in the throes of putting the cover and the back cover and all the ingredients uh, to complete my seventh book. And John, I have a street named after me in my hometown of Stamford, Connecticut, Michael Dante Way.
Oh
And
my
that's,
God.
I used to walk 3 years, I walked up and down to go to high school. And that street, Prospect Street. So my name is up there long after or forever, Michael Dante Way. And to think that one day, walking up there, see snow, rain,
Hmm.
we didn't have any money to take buses or what have you. And we didn't own a car at the time. My dad was in the produce business. We had a truck, and the truck was being uh, occupied with his business during the day. So I walked 3 miles up, 3 miles back, played sports, go without eating and so forth, and chased the American dream.
Yeah.
And I achieved that in many professions.
And now you have that street. That street that you walked is now Michael Dante Way. That is so amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
I know Stanford a little bit. I actually have been out there. I know Old Lawn Ridge Road and those
yeah,
areas up
Longest
there.
Road.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
No, it's a good town. A lot of famous people came through there. Dana Delaney, Christopher Lloyd, is from
I don't think
Stanford.
they were born there. A lot of them may have moved there,
I
but I
thought
think
Dana Delaney and Christopher Lloyd, I thought they were from there, but I could be wrong. I could be
yeah,
wrong.
I don't think they were. I'm the only actor that was successful in Hollywood that was born in
In
Stamford.
Stanford.
Bob Crane was born in Norwalk.
Right. That's right.
Now, other great athletes. Now you have Andy Robustelli, my best friend, Hall of Famer for the Giants, defensive giant, Andy Robustelli from Stanford, born and raised in Stanford.
Mhm.
Bobby Valentine, one of the greatest athletes who ever come out of the state of Connecticut or even the country. Great football player, great baseball player, a boxer. He was track, a great athlete,
Yeah.
and a wonderful leader, great leader, and a manager, a wonderful manager, a great ball player. And then we had Chico Vijor, one of my best friends, who
Hmm.
fought for uh, the middleweight championship of the world.
Oof.
Uh, was born and raised there, yeah, in there. So Jimmy Einer, who was in the music business, a cousin of mine, he was
Wow, that's a lot of successful people.
yeah, and born and raised in Stamford. We were born and raised there.
Hmm.
So yes, it was a community of, of athletes. As we grew up, we were good kids. We didn't go the wrong wrong way.
Right.
Uh, we pursued life as good citizens and athletes, and wanted to make something of our lives
Yeah,
and and the American dream.
I
And
got
that
it.
more than one profession, and I thank God and thank my family, God, and country, the greatest country in the world. John, there's no other country like our country.
I,
We got
I, I,
all the opportunity, and it just breaks my heart to see the violence
I
uh,
know.
that's going on. Terrible.
Let let's go back. Let's go
Pray for
back to
peace. Let's
what?
pray for peace, God.
I agree
Let's
with you on that.
pray.
That I'll agree with any day. Let's go back to Bonanza for a second because I know my subscribers and I know they'll say, "Wait a minute, you didn't talk about Lorne Greene or Michael Landon." Because and actually, you were even you had a couple moments with Dan Blocker too. I remember that when he says, "Hey,
Yeah.
teach me a little Spanish," and you're like, you're like, I won't teach you, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
what were your takes on each of them? As you know,
Lorne Greene, I became friends with Lorne Greene. Uh, Michael, we only had a little bit of a scene towards the end, a little bit in the beginning and the end. Well, most of my scenes were with Lorne,
hmm
and Lorne liked to play tennis.
hmm,
We, a lot of celebrities, I played, contributed a lot to a lot of charities,
huh,
playing golf and tennis, um, to raise funds for needy organizations and so forth. And Lauren and I became close friends. And um, when I went back and I did in Tahoe, where they had the original Bonanza Ranch,
yeah.
and yeah, and Lauren had a beautiful house on the north side looking down at the lake.
Wow.
Great house. And we talked, and I invited him to Stamford, Connecticut, one of the celebrities, when I had a celebrity tennis tournament at Stamford
hmm
to raise funds for the Italian Center for the young people and their recreation needs. And I brought just, oh God, about 15, 12 to 15 celebrities to Stanford, uh, including Joe DiMaggio, by the way.
Oh
Joe,
my gosh, Joe.
Joe, Joe
Wow.
was a good pal of mine. And so Lauren, was one of the guests, he and his wife. So we became close. So when I made the appearance, they had a get together, a venue of Bonanza in Tahoe Lake, Tahoe area. Um, he said, Michael, we don't use our house that much. We live in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, and so forth. He said, but anytime you want to use my house, so he said, let me take you there. But John, it was on 3 levels. You drive in, the driveway, then you would meet in the kitchen, the living room. Then you go to the dining room and then the bedroom. It was beautifully laid out. It was just so authentic. It's all Western, beautiful Western.
Really, it was all Western, just like you picture.
Hard work, the artwork, and so forth. And he said, my house is your house. Anytime you want to use it, you're welcome.
Hmm.
Well, I thought that was a very nice gesture. I never did get a chance to, because of traveling from there to Tahoe was not the easiest. But anyway, I didn't. But I did see the inside of the house. It had lunch with him inside of the house, and it he was a very gracious and kind host. He and his wife, very nice people.
Wow.
Very, very nice. I knew him better than I knew Michael. I knew Michael,
Hmm.
very talented. Gosh, Michael was a good director, a writer, good actor, and a
Yeah.
good athlete. And of course, everybody liked Dan Blocker. He's just the nicest guy he could be. But I knew Lorne Greene, uh, uh, the best of the
Of the
three.
three. Was
Yeah,
was Dan Blocker in the time that you were with him? Was he pretty much like he was as his character?
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's same personality,
Yeah.
warm, sensitive, really, really a nice man, very nice man.
I wondered about that. Hey, did I get this right? I went through your whole career. I was looking at different things, and I thought I saw Raintree County in there. Is that right?
Yeah, well, when I was under contract, my first studio, I
Yeah.
was under contract in 1955, 55, 56. Um, my first job was somebody up there likes me in
Oh,
New York.
Paul Newman, Steve
Paul
McQueen.
Newman. Paul. And I'll tell you about that story.
Sure.
Yeah. Paul, by the way, I think that just an actor's opinion, is his greatest performance because he played Rocky Graziano.
Yeah.
Now, Paul Newman, with his blue eyes, his light hair, and his light complexion, looked as ethnic as a glass of milk.
Right. I agree with you.
All right, okay? And the job he did playing Rocky and the New York accent and all the boxing, he did all the boxing work himself. It was fantastic. It
Yeah.
was such a departure from he, Paul Newman, the person, to the character Rocky Graziano. And he did, I thought, the most brilliant job of all the work he's done. It was the departure, the most that he had to make demands on his God given talent
Hmm.
to be believable playing the middleweight champion of the world, Rocky Graziano, who was so Italian, so ethnic
Yes,
compared,
totally.
compared to Paul, you know.
Yeah.
And uh, boy, it was, by the way, that was, I was under contract. I was making $200 a week on the contract. And that was great.
I was going to say at that time, of course.
I had a little Volkswagen. I bought a Volkswagen, made payments on that. I bought a black and white four-door Volkswagen, white wall tires, radio heater. $1,200 I paid for.
Oh my God.
Anyway, and Paul, it was Steve McQueen's first picture.
Oh, wow.
Right, exactly. Our first picture. Now I'm going to give you my introduction to Steve McQueen. Now this was wonderful. This is my first job, let alone my first picture. My first job, and I didn't know from Shinola.
Yeah.
I was a rookie and in pursuit of a career, young and and unknowledgeable about the future ahead of me. We're filming in New York, okay, in New
Hmm.
York. My first, here I am living in Hollywood. Now my first film, I'm on location in New York, part of my country.
Yeah.
Stamford, Connecticut
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
1 hour away from where we were shooting on the east side of New York. Okay? And introduction first day of work for Steve McQueen. John, it was raining. Well, first of all, we stayed at the Warwick Hotel. The Warwick Hotel, all the actors and the companies always stayed at the Warwick. It was downtown.
Yeah.
And the Warwick had a canopy, out of the front door, and this canopy to the street. It was raining that day. I swear to you, you could not see across the street.
Oh my gosh.
Heavy, coming down and making noise like you never heard. And I'm waiting for the limousine's going to pick me up to take me and the cameraman to the location, okay? On the east side, which was about a half hour, 40 minutes away through all that traffic and the rain. And all of a sudden, a motorcycle moves up right in front where I'm standing on the curb, in front of the canopy, soaked in wet. He had a little cap on. There was no water repellent jacket or shirt or anything.
Yeah.
A little jacket. I mean, he was drenched from head to foot. And he pulls up in front of me and the curb. But with that moan. He said, this guy's wacky. Who the hell is this? I moved back and so forth. He said, he gave me a jive talk. He said, hey man, he said, do you know whether the somebody up there likes me company is shooting? I said, yeah, on the east side. I said, are you working with the company? He said, yeah, man. I said, why don't you wait? Park your bike inside and get out of the rain and come in a limousine and come with us.
Yeah.
He said, no, I'm going to take my bike. Rum. I said, okay. And he said, look, what was his name? Oh yeah, he said, yeah. He said, I'm one of the characters in the working with Paul. I said, well, just wait here. He said, no, I'll follow. A minute later, there comes a limousine, and he said, okay, I'll follow you. Follow us, okay. All right, I get in the car. Cameraman came. We got in the car, and we go. And I kept looking over the back. There he is, following us. And we get to the east side. Now, those days they had small dressing rooms. They were round, They were not those huge, luxurious dressing rooms like today. There were two in each room. So he and I were locked in one dressing room. They had a table, a little couch, a couple of chairs, and a little dresser, and a couple of towels hanging up on the hooks. So I get in there, I get out of the car, I'm dry as a bone. I get inside, I put on my wardrobe, and then a couple of minutes, knock on the door. Said, yeah. He said, yeah, this is my dressing room here. Steve, in here, I think it's my dressing room. The guy said, come on in. Yeah, I'm guessing it. And they had our name tags on the table. Yeah. He said, hey, man. He said, I'm Steve McQueen. How you doing? I said, he was so wet. The fell off of him. The floor was flooded. I said, here, you got my towel. You need both towels to dry up and so forth. So it was so bad, we didn't shoot that day. But that was Steve McQueen and I met under those circumstances our first day of shooting. That was Steve. Incredible.
Wow, that really shows you who Steve McQueen was.
He loved motorcycles. Now, I'll tell you, Paul invited us after several days of shooting. He said, let's go and have a couple of beers. He said, Steve, you and Michael, come on. Well, I got the greatest lesson I ever got in my life about motorcycles and motors, carburetors, engines, brakes. I, I couldn't write it a better synopsis or a scenario of these two guys talking about the love of the second love, I guess, or the real love of their life, engines and racing.
Yeah.
Boy, they were awful loud about engines and motors and carburetors and Formula One and autos and so forth and so on. It was great. It was really fun. All I did was all night going back and forth.
Wow. So was he your roommate in essence on the, dressing room roommate for the
No,
shoot?
it was a place just that you couldn't even have any comfort. You
Yeah.
just go and change your clothes and get out. No, today you could take a nap. They got beds, they
Yeah.
got television, they got food, they got drink, refrigerator. Those days they didn't have anything. So
Interesting.
you all go get on the set and go sit in your chair and wait to start shooting.
Wow. Now, Raintree County, any recollection from that? Because
Oh,
obviously Elizabeth Taylor, Montgomery Clift. In fact, isn't that the film where he had that serious auto accident?
that's right. That's right. That was the only the second thing while I was under contract. I had to do what they told me to do. It was a small part, like somebody up there like me. It was about 3 or 4 scenes. I
Hmm.
was in, it was fun. It was a good introductory piece. And same thing with uh, Raintree County. And while we were working, we met the beautiful Elizabeth Taylor. She was gorgeous. God,
Oh,
she had beautiful eyes, different purple eyes, different. And he was very handsome. Monty Clift,
oh yeah.
Rod Taylor, he had a wonderful cast. And uh, what's what was the character actor's name? And a very good, uh, yeah, in Raintree County.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
should know it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you're no help, Sean. So, anyway, um, uh, I had one line in the picture when he comes on. He says, "They go and says, race, race, race. They're going to have a race." Okay, yeah. Lee Marvin. I was just thinking
There
of
we go. Okay.
Lee Marvin was in the film, and he and the Monty Cliff were going to have a race. Okay, well, we were the youth sequence behind him and so forth. And I yell out, race, 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 and come back. And a small part, but I was under contract and had
Yeah.
to do whatever wanted me to do. But in the interim, unfortunately, he got in an automobile accident. Monty Cliff.
Hmm.
Now, he was a handsome, leading man, wonderful actor, and he got in an automobile accident. And naturally, they had to shoot around him. There were all the scenes possible without him. They could do that, but after I don't know a certain period of time, he came back, and the good looks, that handsome face, was gone. You
Yep.
could see the nose, everything about him. It was still fractured, and puffy, and it was just sad. He never looked the same after. It was
No.
just, and on the set, and everybody was so, you sympathetic to what had happened, and it just, um, well, he had a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had an alcoholic, and had But I guess maybe that's what happened. The automobile accident, he wasn't himself. You know?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was leaving that party with at Elizabeth Taylor's house, actually, I think it was. Yeah. Wow. What by the way, I meant to ask you, you were in Get Smart, which was with Don Adams, which I've always loved the show. And I think the episode you were in is called Kisses for Chaos. It's kind of a good one to
Yeah.
remember. Do you have any
Never,
recollection?
never had so much fun or laughs. And it took more time to finish our work because we get halfway through the scene and we all break up laughing about the dialogue and the situation. Particularly the one scene uh, when he and she make a bowl of soup. And I'm sitting and had been invited to her house to romance her. I'm going to have a romance with 99,
Yeah.
Barbara Feldon, who was a wonderful actress, and of course, Don, so good. And here was this bowl of soup, and literally underneath they had the layer of soup, they had a camera.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the camera was there. And the dialogue was, and I take a sip of the soup and say, this is delicious. What kind of soup is this? And she says, cream of Technicolor. Well, it took us about eight, eight takes to get it done. We just couldn't stop laughing. And the way Don read it and how wonderful he was in that role. And she was so great. And I love the character, Savage, Rex Savage, the really a pseudo sophisticated cultural character, only from the word go. He was a mad bomber, is what he was, on the
Oh,
paint.
oh,
Yeah.
funny. Oh. The other, I mean, you were in a lot of stuff. It's just so funny. The other,
Naked
you
King,
had
huh?
said, I think you and I had spoken. You had said that you knew Nat King Cole as well.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How had you met Nat King
Well,
Cole?
we were we're having a softball celebrity softball game again, like we did, and he and I think Jack Shelton was his manager,
Hmm.
and they got together, and Jack called me and said, "Nat would like to see you. We want to play an all-star game, get an all-star game, and you would know who the good players are
Oh,
uh, to play before the Dodger game at Dodger Stadium." So we had lunch. I met Nat, and I said, "Yeah, I get Chuck Connors, Jim Garner, and all those wonderful people uh, that would, have some
yeah.
ability, and would like to play, and we'll have a lot of fun." And she's great. He was our captain. He was
Huh.
our manager. He was our manager, and we played the first year, and it was just about maybe maybe 15 stars that played. Then the next year, it got to where the agents got involved, and everybody wanted to be a part of it and play. So all the agents were calling to play in the game. So they didn't turn out a lot of the stars from other agencies. Uh, Made it a point that they wanted to play. And then I got a call from Jack the third year. And Jack said, "Michael, we have to have a meeting." Met with Nat and Jack. He said, "I'm done." Nat said, "Done." He was serious about playing. He didn't want to make a spectacle and
Interesting.
a big to do about nothing, really. He wanted to play the game seriously, to play it well as we could. And if there was comedy that took place, okay. but not to make it, you know, make a travesty out of the game. He
Yeah.
didn't, he didn't appreciate it. He had so much love and respect for the game and didn't want it to turn out to make it a circus of celebrities now that wanted to get into the act.
Yeah.
So he dismissed himself the third year and never managed again. And for years they went on, and I still think they have these they get together and have a celebrity game sometime during the year at Dodger Stadium.
So interesting. What the other one too is what if you could tell that story of Tommy Dorsey, how he, because I feel like Tommy Dorsey had a very serious effect on changing the trajectory of your life as well.
Oh, by all means. I had surgery on my shoulder, and my doctor said, Michael, I want you to go to warm weather. You know, I said I was going to go to a college to start my second love as a drama major
Hmm.
somewhere. He said, well, go to Florida. You just go where the heat is, get that arm healed up before you start a exercising program. So I applied at the University of Miami of Florida in the off season. They accepted me as a drama major, and during this was in the September, in the fall semester. So I went to the university and I entered the drama department and began to start my second career and learn as much as I could about the basics, the fundamentals, and read plays and so forth. So in the interim, a friend of mine, Mickey McDermott, you remember Mickey McDermott, the left-handed pitcher? He played with the Red Sox,
Hmm.
Yankees, Washington Senators, and the St. Louis Cardinals.
Gotcha. And you played with the Washington Senators as well.
Yeah, yeah. So Mickey and Tommy were good friends. And I lived off campus. I didn't live on campus. I lived off campus. And uh, Mickey was at my apartment one day. He was married and he was having divorce problems. He had two daughters and so forth. And I would see him. We were working out. We started working out, doing some running on the baseball field at the university. And Mickey and I were doing some exercises, staying in shape, and he got a call from Tommy Dorsey. Said Tommy called him. He said, uh, Tommy said, Mick, I'm doing one-nighters up and down the east and west coast of Florida, and I have a night off. Tino Barzi was his manager. He loved baseball as much as Tommy Dorsey. And he said, we'd love to, want to take you to bed. So dinner, and let's talk baseball. And Mickey said, great, okay. Do you mind if my buddy, my roomie, he's going to be my roommate in spring training with the Washington Senators. He's a hell of a ball player, and he's a drama major at the university. He said, you mind if he comes home time? He said, sure, come on. Come on. He said, uh, I said, this is going to be fun, meeting Tommy Dorsey,
Yeah,
the
no
number
kidding.
one leader in the world at the time. He did the Nestle show, the Jackie Gleason show, if you remember.
Hmm.
Okay. So he was the number one band leader in the whole world. And we're going to have dinner with him. We had to, we hit it off great. And Tommy was impressed that I was studying to be an actor and so forth and so on. He said, well, without a doubt, you're the best looking baseball player I ever saw. He said, great too. But anyway, he said, we'll be doing one-nighters. We're coming back Because I'm going to, and Mickey are going to spring training to Washington Senators in March. And Tommy said, gee, I'm going to finish here, go back home. He lived in Greenwich, Connecticut. And he said, we'll be back. This is September now. He said, we'll be back in February. We'll be doing one-nighters again, just like we're doing now, up and down the east and west coast of Florida, then go on to Louisiana, Texas, and eventually do the Hollywood show in California.
Wow.
So time went by, true to his word. In February, I get a call. Now I'm just leaving the apartment. And John, if that door is closed, I wouldn't be talking with you now. The door was ajar like this, and I have props in my crawl this way. And I'm going to rehearse the scene at the Ring Theater in Miami U. The phone is ringing. Oh, should I? Well, I thought about it. I said, I have 3 sisters, a brother, mom and dad, at 6 people, 15 aunts and uncles. If something went wrong,
Yeah.
and I didn't answer that phone, I'll never forgive myself. So I pushed the door open, threw the props on the couch. I pick up the phone, and on the other end, hey, pal. Now, the hey, pal was, remember Jackie Gleason?
Sure.
Said, hey, pal. Okay, how they talked on the side of their mouth?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if Tommy did that, you were in. You were part of the family. So what do you call it? Hey, pal. How are you? He said, nice TD. It's where are you? He said, we're here. We got a night off. Tino and I want to have dinner with you and Mickey, but I can't get a hold of Mickey. He said, I had to call administration to get your phone number because my phone number wasn't in the book.
Yeah.
So he said, I'll see if you can get a hold of him. If not, I said, but Tom, I can't make it. I could join you afterwards. He said, well, what's the problem? I said, I'm rehearsing a play. He says, okay, fine. He said, leave a pass for us at the Ring Theater, and we'll see you backstage, and we'll go have a late dinner. I said, what? Tommy Dorsey to delay his dinner, have dinner with me. Anyway, I
Wow.
was so flabbergasted. And I said, okay, Tom, I'll leave a pass. True to his word, he and Tino met me backstage. Couldn't get a hold of Mickey. So the 3 of us went to dinner. And he said this, I'm only going to tell you once. He was a no-nonsense guy, a true great leader. He said, I've helped people, talented people in my lifetime. But there's only one other guy I really believe in that much, and he did okay. His name was Frank Sinatra.
Oh, wow.
He said, Michael, you have all the attributes to be a movie star. You're tall, you're good looking, you have charisma, you have a good speaking voice. He said, and when you're on stage, you only look at you. That's a gift. And he said, I'm doing a home show. I'll be there in Hollywood in 2 weeks. Okay? After spring training. After you go to spring training. So we're talking about March.
Mm-hmm.
So April, he would be in Hollywood, the end of April, the end of March to the midway through the month of April, doing the home show at the Pan Pacific Auditorium in Hollywood. Said, I'll be there for 2 weeks. And while I'm there, I want to arrange a screen test for you at MGM Studios.
Oh,
I was under contract to them, he said, for many years. I know the producers, and I know I can arrange a screen test for you. at the studio. And I said, gee, Tom, that's great. He said, well, here's my itinerary. Want you to keep in touch. We'll be in touch for a progress report and be abreast of how you're doing at spring training. So went to spring training with the Washington Senators. My roomie was Mickey McDermott, and my arm was not quite ready. It wasn't ready. And so I had to make a decision.
Hmm.
So I took a 2 weeks leave of absence, the club. I joined Tommy in Las Vegas, and 2 days later we're in Hollywood. Tommy was doing the home show, staying at the Hollywood Plaza Hotel. And at the end of his gig at the Hollywood show, he arranged a screen test for me. I tested out at MGM. The executives liked what they saw, signed me to a contract, and I never went back to baseball. 30 films later, 150 television shows, had my own radio show for 12 years, under contract to 3 major studios, MGM, Warner Brothers, and 20th Century Fox. Had a street named after me in Stamford, Connecticut, Michael
Nice.
Dante. I just finished my 7th published book,
Yep.
okay? And now we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the release of Winterhawk in New York City, July 11th at the Italian American Museum.
And Tommy Dorsey set it all in motion.
Well, exactly.
Wow. That's a great story, Michael.
What was sad too, John, shortly after that he passed away.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, he died in his home. He choked on the food. So that was a sad day of my life, and I pray for his wonderful life and contribution that he made in this world, and God bless him for always.
yeah.
He he was part of my divine guidance to
Oh,
introduce me to what I've accomplished.
no doubt. No doubt. Well, Michael, I got to tell you, I mean, there's so much stuff. We've talked about so much. My gosh, you and I have talked about a ton. I loved it. I just loved it, and I know that there's more, but it's incredible what you did share, and I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for just being on That's Classic. It's been really interesting talking with you.
Well, John, I really appreciate it. And tell your audience to go on my website,
Hmm.
michaeldanteway.com. Okay?
Oh,
And if they want
definitely.
to email me about anything, of any of the books they might want, or DVDs or pictures, Michael Dante Way at AOL.com. One word. Michael Dante Way at AOL.com is my email, and
Hmm.
my website, michaeldanteway.com.
And it's an excellent website. It is. It has so much on it. It's terrific.
So much more work and pictures and awards that I had achieved and during my journey, and everything they would like to know about Michael Dante and his versatile career.
You got it. No, I think it's terrific. And Michael, I got to tell you, I hope I make it to 93 and I have the wherewithal and the energy and everything that you have. So that's amazing. So thanks again. Appreciate you.
Thank you, John. God bless you and your show and your fans, and God bless America.
All right. I thank you for that. That was really kind. Very kind. Thanks again, Michael. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Please don't forget to hit the subscription button and also hit the notification bell right after that so that you get notified whenever I have a new episode. And be sure to check out some of my other interviews. Henry Winkler, Jerry Mathers, Angela Cartwright, Shelley Fabre. It goes on and on. They're so great. Enjoy.